Good morning, listeners of Hot Topic and Fresh News. It's Tuesday, the 8th of November, 2023, and we have some major news stories to discuss. First off, Democrat Gabriel Amo has made history in Rhode Island, becoming the first person of color to represent the state in Congress. Over in Philadelphia, Democrat Cherelle Parker is set to become the city's first female mayor, following a successful election campaign. Meanwhile, in Kentucky, Governor Andy Beshear is on track for re-election, demonstrating strong leadership with a message of unity. In Ohio, two critical issues were on the ballot. Issue 1, securing abortion rights in the state's constitution, is projected to pass, along with Issue 2, which would legalize recreational marijuana. On the East Coast, Yusef Salaam, one of the Central Park Five, has won a city council seat in New York City. In Mississippi, despite facing controversy, Republican Governor Tate Reeves has won a second term in office. Turning to Pennsylvania, Democrat Daniel McCaffrey has secured an open seat on the Supreme Court, giving Democrats a 5-2 majority on the bench. In Virginia, Democrat Schuyler Van Valkenburg has unseated an incumbent Republican in the state Senate, helping to maintain the Democratic majority. In Uvalde, Texas, Kimberly Monterrubio, whose daughter was tragically killed in the 2022 Robb Elementary School shooting, has lost her bid for mayor. In a post-election call, President Biden has extended his congratulations to Philadelphia's mayor-elect Cherelle Parker and Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. Lastly, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency has assured the public that no significant cyber threats were detected during the election process. Stay tuned to Hot Topic and Fresh News for more on these stories and other top news. Hello everyone, it's Emily here, your faithful anchor for daily news.
And I'm David News Talk, your trusted commentator.
We're bringing you the top stories every day on Hot Topic and Fresh News. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay updated. Straight to the hot topics.
Can you give us some insight into Tate Reeves' re-election despite the recent scandal?
Well, despite being involved in a controversy over the alleged misuse of federal funds, Reeves managed to secure a second term as Mississippi's governor. His victory extends the Republican Party's 20-year control of the governorship in Mississippi.
What does the sweep by Virginia Democrats mean for the state?
This is a significant win as it gives the Democrats full control of the General Assembly after 2 years of divided power. It's a blow to the Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin, who had invested heavily in trying to secure a Republican trifecta.
Can we expect changes in Virginia's policy direction?
It's very likely. The Democrats holding their majority in the state Senate essentially puts an end to the possibility of a Republican trifecta and derails the conservative policy priorities that Youngkin might have been hoping to implement swiftly.
And what about the Pennsylvania Supreme Court race?
Democrat Daniel McCaffrey has managed to secure a seat on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, reinforcing the Democratic majority on the bench. His victory could have significant implications, particularly in cases relating to mail voting where there has been a deadlock. It also adds to a string of wins for proponents of abortion rights across the country. Taking a brief break from our news analysis, I'd like to remind our listeners that you're tuned into Hot Topic and Fresh News. If you find our content valuable, do hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news, free of charge, every single day. And don't forget, if you think your friends might enjoy our discussions, do share our content with them.
Well said. We really appreciate the support, folks. Now, back to our discussion on the recent election outcomes. What's the significance of the victory by Schuyler Van Valkenburg in the Virginia State Senate?
Van Valkenburg's win is key because it aids the Democrats' efforts to maintain their majority in the Virginia State Senate and also puts a spoke in the wheels of Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin's conservative agenda. This win shows that the balance of power in both the Virginia State House and State Senate remains a contentious issue.
Kimberly Monterrubio's loss in her mayoral bid is also noteworthy, isn't it?
Definitely. While the loss is disappointing for Monterrubio and her supporters, who have been advocating for stricter gun laws, it's important to remember that her fight was spurred by a personal tragedy. Her dedication to the cause and her community is evident, and her story has resonated deeply with the public.
And then there's the victory of Yusef Salaam, a member of the Central Park Five who was exonerated.
Yes, Salaam's win for a New York City Council seat is a testament to his resilience and to the changes that can occur when wrongs are righted. His story is an example of how individuals can overcome adversity, and his triumph is significant to the ongoing conversation about criminal justice reform. On that note, what do you make of these events? How do you see them shaping the general political landscape?
It's clear that we're witnessing some significant shifts. These results show that voters are not just voting for candidates, but also for causes and social issues, especially those that have deeply personal resonance. It also emphasizes the crucial role local and state governments play in shaping policy and impacting people's lives.
Absolutely. Let's continue to explore how these political developments are influencing national conversations and potentially shaping the future.
Can you provide more context on Yusef Salaam's background and his victory in Harlem?
Salaam's story is quite remarkable. He was one of 5 teenagers, known as the Central Park Five, falsely accused and convicted of assaulting a woman in Central Park in 1989. The case attracted national attention, even prompting then-businessman Donald Trump to call for the return of the death penalty. But a decade later, DNA evidence and a confession from a convicted rapist led to their exoneration. Salaam's victory represents not just personal redemption but also a shift in public perception and justice.
And what about Ohio's Issue 2, the one on marijuana legalization?
Ohio's Issue 2, which we project will pass, allows adults over 21 to legally purchase, possess, and grow marijuana for recreational use. It's part of a growing trend across the country towards more liberal marijuana laws.
Let's talk about the mayoral race in Philadelphia. Who emerged as the victor?
Sherelle Parker, a Democrat, emerged victorious in Philadelphia's mayoral race, becoming the first woman to lead the city as mayor. Her victory is certainly a landmark moment for the city and women in politics.
Finally, can you share some insights on Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear's re-election?
Certainly. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear managed to secure a second term in office, fending off a challenge from Republican candidate Daniel Cameron. It's a significant win for Beshear, reinforcing his position in the state's political landscape.
Ohio's Issue 1 seems to have generated substantial interest. Can you enlighten us on the outcome?
Indeed, it was quite a prominent issue. Ohio's Issue 1, which we project has passed, amends the state's constitution to protect access to abortion. It's a significant victory for proponents of abortion rights, especially in light of recent developments in the Supreme Court. It's interesting to note that the yes votes saw strong support from women voters, particularly those under 30 and single women. Also, the issue found some support among Republicans, particularly moderate ones.
So, what role did public sentiment towards the Supreme Court's decision play here?
The Supreme Court's recent decision to overturn Roe v. Wade sparked significant anger, particularly among women voters. This undoubtedly fueled support for Ohio's Issue 1, which sought to safeguard abortion rights at the state level.
Moving on, let's discuss the re-election of Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear.
Governor Beshear secured a second term in office, winning nearly 53% of the vote against the Republican challenger, Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron. In his victory speech, Beshear emphasized unity and progress, rejecting the idea of Team R or D and promoting Team Kentucky instead. It's quite something, isn't it, to see these rapidly changing landscapes in our political arena? Such pivotal moments, such consequential decisions, such game-changing headlines. What are your thoughts, dear listeners? Are you finding these insights as intriguing as we are? Do you find these discussions engaging? And what do you think about the impact of these developments on our society and future? Let's keep the conversation going as we delve deeper into these pressing issues.
Let's delve into the special election for Rhode Island's 1st Congressional District. Can you tell us about the victor?
Gabriel Amo, a Democrat, won the special election, marking a historic moment as he becomes the first person of color to represent Rhode Island in Congress. This seat was vacated after Democratic Representative David Cicilline stepped down earlier this year. Amo, a former White House aide, has pledged to work on banning assault-style weapons and ensuring universal background checks. He also supports efforts to codify the right to abortion into federal law.
What more can you share about the mayor's race in Philadelphia?
Sherelle Parker, a Democrat and a former state legislator and member of the city council, won the Philadelphia mayor's race. This victory makes her the first woman to serve as Philadelphia's mayor, and she will be the city's 100th mayor when she takes office in January.
And in Kentucky, how is the governor's race shaping up?
Kentucky incumbent Governor Andy Beshear, a Democrat, appears to be in a strong position. With 75% of the votes in, Beshear is leading his Republican opponent, Daniel Cameron, by more than 48,000 votes. It's important to note that Cameron had the backing of both former President Donald Trump and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, yet Beshear seems to be gaining momentum.
Let's talk election security. How do things look on that front?
According to a senior cybersecurity official at the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, they've seen no deliberate, nefarious activities that should cause concern about the security, integrity, or resilience of the election. While there are minor issues at some state board election sites and a couple of voting machine issues, these are considered routine.
What about the race for Kentucky governor? Any updates there?
CBS News estimates the race now leans in favor of Democratic incumbent Governor Andy Beshear. With 53% of the vote in, Beshear is leading Republican Daniel Cameron, Kentucky's Attorney General, by more than 43,000 votes.
What's happening in Mississippi?
In Mississippi, Republican Governor Tate Reeves is running for re-election against moderate Democrat Brandon Presley, a second cousin of Elvis Presley. The winner must secure 50% of the vote to avoid a runoff.
And how are things looking for Ohio's Issue 1 and Issue 2?
CBS News currently estimates both as leaning yes. A yes on Issue 1 would enshrine abortion rights in Ohio's state constitution, and the yes vote is benefiting from an electorate that currently looks more Democratic than in previous years.
Let's delve into Ohio's Issue 1. What's the latest there?
As polls closed, CBS News estimates that Issue 1 is leaning yes. This ballot measure seeks to amend the state constitution to establish a right to abortion. A majority yes vote is needed for the measure to pass. It's worth noting that the backing for yes is particularly strong among women, particularly younger women and single women.
And what about Issue 2 in Ohio?
Issue 2, which would legalize adult marijuana use in Ohio, is also estimated to lean yes at this point. The yes side is seeing strong support, particularly among voters under 30.
What's the status of the Kentucky governor's race?
As polls close in Kentucky, CBS News estimates the race for governor is a toss-up. Democratic incumbent Governor Andy Beshear is facing a challenge from Attorney General Daniel Cameron. A poll from Emerson College last week showed the race neck and neck.
Any updates on the situation in Virginia?
In Virginia, polls have now closed where control of the state legislature is on the ballot. We'll continue to watch for updates.
What's the significance of Issue 1 in Ohio?
Issue 1 is the only abortion-related proposal directly before voters this year. If approved, it would extend a winning streak by pro-abortion rights groups. This all comes after the Supreme Court's decision that overturned Roe v. Wade about 17 months ago.
What's the vibe among the Ohio electorate on the subject of abortion?
Early exit polls revealed dissatisfaction regarding the overturning of Roe v. Wade, with almost 4 in 10 expressing anger. Women, Democrats, and younger voters are particularly unhappy. But it's worth noting that Republicans, conservatives, and white evangelical voters casting ballots are mostly satisfied with the decision.
What other issues are on the minds of Ohio voters?
The economy and finances are also key concerns. More Ohio voters reportedly say their finances are worse compared to 3 years ago. Interestingly, despite this, the Republican Party is trusted more to handle the economy, particularly among those who say their finances are worse.
And what's the current sentiment towards President Biden in Ohio?
Polls indicate that most Ohio voters disapprove of the job President Biden is doing. This aligns with the results of the 2020 election, where Biden lost the state by 8 points.
As we're 1 year out from the 2024 election, What's the sentiment among the Ohio electorate towards the potential candidates?
4 in 10 Ohio voters are reportedly not enthusiastic about either President Biden or former President Trump running for president. This indicates a level of voter fatigue with the current political options.
Switching gears, what do recent polls say about Americans' concerns regarding reproductive care access?
A CBS News poll found that more women believe access to reproductive care is getting harder following the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Over half of women believe that being pregnant in the U.S. today is becoming more dangerous from a healthcare perspective.
Back to politics, can you give us an update on the Kentucky governor's race?
Democratic Governor Andy Beshear is facing a tough challenge from Attorney General Daniel Cameron. Interestingly, support among former President Trump's supporters for Cameron has seen a significant increase, which could be a worrying sign for Beshear.
Can you touch on the Mississippi governor's race?
Certainly. We have Democrat Brandon Presley, who's actually Elvis Presley's second cousin, trying to unseat Republican Governor Tate Reeves. This is another race we'll be closely watching.
Let's circle back to Mississippi. How is Brandon Presley faring in his bid to become the first Democratic governor in the state in 2 decades?
Presley, a moderate, is hoping to break the 20-year hold Republicans have had on the governor's seat. His campaign has focused on expanding Medicaid and supporting the state's sweeping abortion ban. His opponent, incumbent Tate Reeves, has been marred by scandal related to allegations of misused funds.
And finally, what's the word from the nation's cybersecurity agency regarding the current elections?
The agency, also known as CISA, reported that Election Day operations are looking routine and standard with no signs of disruptive threats or nefarious activity. However, they noted that Mother Nature or human error may still cause some disruptions. That's a wrap for today's episode of Hot Topic and Fresh News. We dove into a range of topics from the latest election updates to the pressing issues of reproductive care access. We appreciate you taking the time to join us. Remember to subscribe and activate notifications so you keep up with every episode. Your support means the world to us. Feel free to share our content on your social media platforms or even during a friendly chat over coffee. If you enjoyed the episode, we'd love to hear from you in the comments.
Absolutely, and don't forget we're with you every day, unraveling the world's happenings. There's always something intriguing brewing here, so stay tuned.
We're grateful for your time and engagement. We're already excited for our next episode, though we'll keep you guessing on what it'll be about. David and Emily, stay in the loop, keep your eyes on the news, our channel's content will amuse.